Jack Elam, one of the most iconic character actors of 20th century American cinema, left an indelible legacy through countless villains, bad guys, and eccentrics, especially in westerns. With his lopsided eyes, a unique physical feature that Darryl Zanuck advised him to retain as part of his mystique, Elam turned a childhood trauma into a memorable character tool, creating a powerful and unique screen presence. Yet behind the belated recognition and a brilliant career spanning more than 5 decades, there existed a deep inner tragedy, a hidden professional resentment, culminating in a bitter feud with Hollywood's most celebrated hero, Gary Cooper. What makes the truth about artistic labor in Hollywood so bitter, beyond the superficial roles and awards? Was Jack Elam's tragedy simply an eye injury that nearly blinded him as a successful auditor, forcing him to change careers? Or was there something deeper hidden in the glamorous but also dark life of an artist, related to the pressure of a system that rewards appearance over talent and the fight to reclaim the true value of artistic labor? Let's find out the exact truth about this inner tragedy, peeling back each layer of contradiction to better understand this talented but resentful artist, who openly hated a monument that Hollywood worshipped. William Scott Jack Elam was born on November 13, 1920, in Miami, Arizona, a small mining town. His family life was full of upheavals. His mother, Alice Amelia, died in 1924 after a 3-year battle with full-body polio. After his mother died, Jack and his sister Mildred lived with various relatives. From humble beginnings, Elam soon had to contribute to the family income, periodically working on nearby farms picking cotton. After graduating from Phoenix Union High School in the late 1930s, he moved to California to study business studies at Modesto and Santa Monica junior colleges. Despite being blind in one eye due to a serious injury at age 11 in a Boy Scouts meeting fight, he served 2 years in the United States Navy during World War II. After his discharge, Elam applied his knowledge of business and finance, working various jobs such as a home trailer salesman, a bookkeeper for the Standard Oil Company, a cashier at the Bank of America, and a manager at the Hotel Bel Air. Elam's turning point in life came from his success in finance. He became an accountant for Hopalong Cassidy Productions and a leading independent auditor in the film industry for Samuel Goldwyn and other Hollywood moguls. However, the daily work of examining financial records put too much strain on his only good eye, his right eye. Elam explained that his good eye kept closing, and after several surgeries, doctors told him he had to quit immediately or risk becoming completely blind. It was that medical warning in 1947 that forced Elam to abandon his successful accounting career and turn to acting. Elam made his screen debut in 1949 in the exploitation film She Shoulda Said No. Over the next decade, he quickly established himself as a reliable and memorable villain, or heavy, in gangster films and westerns. By the late 1950s, American news outlets were even calling him the most hated character on screen. Elam's career spanned over 50 years, with over 200 film and television roles. His unique physical features, his lopsided eyes, or lazy eyes, were advised by 20th Century Fox head Darryl Zanuck not to alter, as they were part of his mystique and eventually became his trademark. When talking about Jack Elam's career, what most audiences remember is the long list of works in which he participated, ranging from classic westerns to entertaining comedies. He was not just a supporting actor, but someone who contributed to creating a unique atmosphere for each film. In the early stages of his career, Elam was associated with the image of a villain in the western genre, where he really shined. He appeared in many famous films and series such as Rawhide, 1951, Kansas City Confidential, 1952, Gunsmoke, Bonanza, The Rifleman and Have Gun, Will Travel. In these works, Elam often transformed into bandits, gunslingers, or reckless drunkards. With just his cold eyes and unique facial expressions, he made the audience shiver every time he appeared on screen, becoming a villain icon of Hollywood during the golden age of Western films. However, Elam did not limit himself to one type of role. He successfully turned to comedy roles, a major turning point that added variety to his career. In Once Upon a Time in the West, 1968, with just one opening scene full of eccentric comedy, he made an unforgettable impression on audiences. Then came the series of Western comedies such as Support Your Local Sheriff, 1969, and Support Your Local Gunfighter, 1971, where he juggled with James Garner, bringing a completely new color. Not stopping there, Elam also appeared in blockbuster action comedies such as The Cannonball Run, 1981, and Cannonball Run 2, 1984, transforming into the eccentric Dr. Van Helsing, a supporting role but becoming a highlight thanks to his special charm. Even into the 1990s, he continued to appear on television with modern sitcoms such as Home Improvement, proving the longevity of his career. From smoky westerns to light-hearted comedies, Jack Elam left his mark in dozens of films, big and small. Each role, whether short or long, became a piece of the puzzle that contributed to his enduring legacy in American cinema history. In addition to the halo of the screen in his private life, Elam maintained a fairly stable life. He first married John Louise Hodgert in 1937, although the official California marriage record is 1944. They remained together until her death from colon cancer in January 1961. 7 months later, in August 1961, Elam married a second time, Margaret M. Jennison. The couple remained together for 42 years, until Jack Elam died of congestive heart failure in October 2003 at his home in Ashland, Oregon at the age of 82. He had 3 children. The relationship between Jack Elam's public career and his personal life is a fascinating contrast. On screen, he often appears as a scary bad guy or an eccentric who inspires both respect and fear. But off-screen, Elam is a loving man, committed to a second marriage that lasted for decades, a testament to his stability and responsibility in his personal life. His career was not shrouded in scandal, but built on a solid work ethic, a tenacious work ethic, and the ability to overcome physical disabilities. One of the most moving stories is the deep friendship between Elam and Mickey Hayes, an 11-year-old boy with progeria whom he met while filming The Aurora Encounter, 1986. This relationship was later documented in the 1987 documentary I Am Not a Freak, where audiences saw a completely different Jack Elam, kind, warm, and affectionate. Elam once said, "I've met a lot of people, but I've never met anyone who has been as close to me as Mickey." It was this friendship that highlighted the stark contrast between the tough guy image he often portrayed on screen and the real person behind the lens, a gentle soul, loving and appreciative of genuine connections. Ironically, Jack Elam's deepest tragedy lay not in his physical injury or death from heart disease, but in his inner struggle with the Hollywood system, encapsulated in his intense hatred of Gary Cooper. This feud was a vivid demonstration of the contrast between his glamorous exterior and the decay of his work ethic, a crisis of values that Elam was not shy about publicizing. Gary Cooper, a name that has become a symbol of classic Hollywood, has long been seen as the embodiment of nobility, composure, and unpretentious charisma. Throughout his illustrious career, Cooper has made a lasting impression with his roles in the Western genre, becoming the standard American hero that audiences around the world admire. Not only does he possess a calm gaze, elegant demeanor, and refined performance, but he has also been awarded the most prestigious awards, the pinnacle of which is the Oscar for his role in High Noon. To the public, Gary Cooper is an untouchable monument, a shining star representing the golden age of Hollywood. However, while the world hails Cooper for Jack Elam, a renowned character actor, known for his straightforwardness and ironclad work ethic, that image is anything but glamorous. In contrast to the popular adoration, Elam not only doubts, but also openly expresses contempt for Cooper. According to him, Gary Cooper's success came not from his acting ability, but from his good looks, his stardom, and the way the Hollywood system celebrated constructed images. Elam even created a conspiracy theory about the biggest talent fraud in the history of cinema. He argued that Cooper was living proof that Hollywood had turned an ordinary man into a legend through aura, not ability. Elam once bluntly declared, "Cooper has never impressed me. While critics praised Cooper's slow, quiet acting style as natural genius, Elam saw it as cleverly disguised laziness. This contradiction created an interesting tragedy. To millions of viewers, Cooper was the ideal model, but to a dedicated colleague like Elam, he was a symbol of complacency, a hollow hero. Elam, which has always prided itself on diligence, discipline, and a serious work ethic, cannot accept a star being honored just for its external glory. From that discomfort, Elam gradually became an unofficial investigator in the film industry, one who publicly pointed out the evidence that he believed was the hidden truth behind Gary Cooper's halo. First, Elam accused Cooper of coasting on his star power, not practicing hard, not pushing himself, and not caring about the quality of the footage. According to Elam, Cooper just wanted to get the job done quickly to get paid, while the actors below him had to sweat and bleed to bring life to the film. This was not just a personal criticism, but also an indictment of an entire system that tolerated laziness as long as the star brought in box office profits. Second, Elam criticized Cooper's aloofness and contempt for supporting actors and backstage crew. While Elam prided himself on being approachable and engaging with everyone, from his A-list co-stars to those behind the camera, Cooper, he said, barely acknowledged your existence unless you were a star. This arrogance exposed the cold hierarchy of the film industry, where big stars were treated like gods, while the rest were just invisible cogs in the fame-producing machine. Third, and perhaps the thing that angered Elam the most, was Cooper's Oscar win for High Noon. For Elam, it was one of the most undeserved awards in the history of cinema. He argued that the public loved Cooper not because of his profound acting ability, but because they wanted to believe in the image of the American hero he portrayed. Elam quipped that Cooper was wallpaper, there, filling the space, but no one would notice unless someone told him he was a legend. Elam's scathing accusations are not just directed at an individual, but are a stab at the heart of classic Hollywood, an industry that prizes constructed image over genuine talent, a system where looks are more important than sweat and depth of work. For Elam, who has played hundreds of roles with all his hard work and passion, this is a bitter but undeniable truth. And it is this contrast between the public's image of Gary Cooper as a legendary hero and Jack Elam's image as a lazy, arrogant man that has created one of the most deeply debated stories about fame, talent, and the truth behind the Hollywood aura. Elam not only challenges a myth, he exposes a dark side that an entire industry has tried to cover up for decades. Jack Elam's hatred of Gary Cooper was more than just a personal tragedy. It was a profound professional and moral tragedy. Behind his contempt lay the anger of a true artistic worker who had spent his entire career working hard to create something that had been rewarded by a system that favored superficiality over genuine talent. Elam didn't hate Cooper for his personality or attitude, but because Cooper represented what he despised most, Hollywood-sanctioned pretense. Legacy impact. By publicly criticizing a revered icon like Gary Cooper, Elam didn't tarnish his reputation. He cemented his image as an artist with a strong work ethic. His candor, or, as many have called it, Elam being blunt as ever, became an integral part of his legacy. Elam is remembered not only for his gritty villain roles or eccentric comedic roles, but also for his strong and uncompromising voice against the hypocrisy of the film industry. In a world where most actors shy away from touching on legends, Elam has become someone who dares to speak out, dares to confront, and dares to defend the values of his own profession. Impact on the public and the industry. Elam's public statements were not only shocking, but also forced the public and the industry to confront a difficult question. Does the public image that glorifies an artist truly reflect the work ethic and true value of an artist? Thanks to Elam, the gap between on-screen legends and real people behind the lens was exposed more clearly than ever. He highlighted a persistent injustice in the industry. Character actors, those who carry the backbone of a film, are overshadowed and overlooked, while A-list stars only need to look handsome in a cowboy hat to become legends. Therefore, Elam's hatred of Cooper is not a small drama between two individuals, but a symbolic declaration of war. It is the voice of the working-class actors, those who are less praised but create the soul of cinema. And it was this voice that became a key part of Jack Elam's legacy, a man who not only acted well, but also dared to speak the truth that many others only dared to think. In short, Jack Elam's life and career are a living testament to the power of will, talent, and honesty in an industry full of glamour, but also full of injustice. From a poor boy picking cotton in Arizona to an auditor who almost lost his sight, he overcame all adversity to become one of the most memorable faces of American Western cinema. With his distinctive eyes and deep acting ability, Elam was not only loved by audiences, but also respected by professionals, and was inducted into the Western Hall of Fame, an honor reserved for true legends. His public hatred of Gary Cooper was not a temporary emotional outburst. It was a powerful moral statement, an act of truth about the disparity in Hollywood's treatment of actors. Leading stars are revered for their visual brilliance, while those who play supporting roles, the foundation of the entire story, are overlooked. This feud turned Elam into a symbol of resistance, one who refused to bow to false monuments but stood up for the value of real work and art. It raises a big question for us today. What are we judging talent by? Should we continue to indulge the aura of stars created by media power and appearance, or is it time to honor the real artists, those who sacrificed, sweated, and bled to create the soul of their work? Jack Elam's story is not only a chapter in cinematic history, but also a powerful reminder of the value of honesty, perseverance, and the courage to speak the truth, even when it makes him unlikable in the eyes of Hollywood.